Understanding none in Python. Hello everyone. Today we're going to delve into a very important concept in Python, none. This is a special null value that represents no value. In Python programming, understanding the characteristics and uses of none is crucial for writing clear and effective code. What is none? First, let's define what none is. In Python, none is a special data type that represents no value or null value. Its characteristics are as follows. Uniqueness. None is a singleton object in Python, meaning there is only one none instance throughout the entire program's execution. This makes none occupy very little space in memory. Not equal to other types. None is not equal to 0, an empty string, or an empty list. This is very important because when making conditional judgments, we need to clearly distinguish between these different situations. 4 main uses of none. Next, let's look at the 4 main uses of none. 1. Default value when a function has no return value. When a function has no explicit return statement, Python automatically returns none. This is very useful for checking if a function has a return value. 2. Indicates that a variable has not been initialized. We can use none to indicate that a variable has not been assigned a value, which can avoid errors caused by using uninitialized variables. 3. As a default value for function parameters. In function definitions, we can set the default value of a parameter to none, so that we can make judgments and process as needed within the function. 4. Distinguish between really no value and value is 0. Using none can help us clearly distinguish between these two situations, which is very important when processing data. Example 1. Check if a function has a return value. Let's look at the first example, checking if a function has a return value. In this example, my underscore function has no return statement, so it defaults to returning none. We use is none to determine if the variable is none, which is more accurate than using == none because it compares the identity of the object, while == compares the value of the object. The execution result will display the function has no return value. Example 2. Using none as a default parameter. Next is the second example, using none as a default parameter. Here, the default value of message is none. When no parameter is provided, the function will use the default message hello. This design makes the function more flexible, and users can choose whether to provide a custom message. Example 3. Avoid side effects of mutable objects. Next is the third example, which shows how to avoid the side effects of mutable objects. Incorrect example. In this incorrect example, the default value is an empty list, which will cause multiple calls to share the same list. This means that every time the add_item function is called, the item's parameter will accumulate the previous values, which may not be the behavior we want. Correct approach. In the correct approach, we use none as the default value, so that a new list is created each time the function is called, avoiding side effects and ensuring that each call does not affect the results of other calls. Example 4. Combined with conditional judgment. Next is the fourth example, showing how to use none in conjunction with conditional judgment. In this example, none means no data provided, which clearly distinguishes between value is empty and value is 0. This approach makes us more flexible when processing data. Differences between is and ==. Next, let's talk about the differences between is and ==. Is compares the identity of an object, that is, whether two variables point to the same object. This is very important when checking none, because we want to confirm whether the variable is really the singleton object none. == compares the value of an object, that is, whether the contents of two objects are equal. This is very useful when comparing other data types, but it is not recommended when checking none. Example, here, x and y both point to the same none object, so both x is y and x == y will return true. None and boolean values. In a boolean context, none is considered false. This means that in conditional judgments, none will be treated as a false value. For example, this code will print value is none or other value equivalent to false because none is treated as false in a Boolean context. Practical tips: none and the OR operator. We can also use OR to provide default values for none, which is a very practical technique. In this example, if name is none, then visitor will be used as the default value. This writing is concise and easy to understand. Small challenges. Test your understanding. Before we conclude, I would like to give you some small challenges to test your understanding. 1. Why is it recommended to use is instead of equals when checking none? 2. If the parameter of a function is a mutable object, why is it not recommended to directly use an empty list as the default value? 3. In a Boolean context, is none considered true or false? Summary. Today, we learned about the special properties and uses of none in Python. None is an ideal choice for representing no value or not yet set. We also learned how to use is none for judgment to avoid potential errors. In addition, making good use of none as the default value of function parameters can make the program more flexible and easier to maintain. Share your experience. Finally, I encourage everyone to share your experiences. How do you use none to make your programs more flexible? Welcome to leave a message for discussion.